I'm Debbie Norrell, and I am from, you could say that I'm from East Liberty, which is in Pittsburgh, but there's a little bit more to the story. Our house was in an area called Penn Hills, but we had an East Liberty zip code. So our zip code was 15206, but we had to pay Penn Hills taxes because the city line was in our front yard. My parents built their house, or had the house built, or should I say we moved into a newly built house in 1954. And I was able to find, my mother had saved the actual receipt from the down payment on the house. So the receipt that I have is dated October 29th, 1954. And my parents put down $1,778 on our house. And it was a red brick house. It had 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, living room, dining room, and kitchen, a full basement, and a garage. It was just a very nice house. But one of the things about this house, it was built by a Black builder. It was built by a Black builder named E.L. Smith. He was the contractor and the builder. And as my sister tells the story, she's 8 years older than myself. My parents went to their house, and it's right here is the address. It was 7310 Hilda Street. And on the receipt, it says Pittsburgh 6. So they didn't use zip codes then. Zip codes were not in use at that time. So it was Pittsburgh 6, PA, is where they went to put the down payment on the house. And then they had, the mortgage was created. So they had a mortgage, and I have a copy. I have an actual copy of the mortgage. And so their payments at that time were only $52.54 a month. That was the payment on their home at a rate of 4.5%. So that's pretty good. And then that mortgage was satisfied. The mortgage was satisfied November 12th of 1979. It fills me up to be able to look and see how hard my parents worked, because my parents were from Richmond, Virginia. They were from Richmond, Virginia, and they came here. My father came to work, I think, on Neville Island. He came to Pittsburgh for work, and my mother came. They got married though in Richmond, but then they both moved here. And we used to live in Belsuber. We lived in Belsuber up until 1954, and then they built a house, and we were the only people to ever live in the house, and we didn't sell the house until 2018. My mother passed in 2015, and when she passed, she was in a nursing home. So when she went into the nursing home wanted the house. They wanted the house as part of her financial package. However, my mother had gotten a reverse mortgage on the house. She wanted to do some work on the house, and she actually had the cash to do the work, but she didn't want to touch her cash. So she went and got a reverse mortgage on the house, not understanding that at some time that reverse mortgage has to be paid back. So once she went to the nursing home, we researched the reverse mortgage, and she initially borrowed $16,000. That reverse mortgage had grown to $62,000. And the house was appraised, but it only appraised at $27,000. So my sister and I paid off the reverse mortgage, and then now the house belonged to us, came back into our hands. And so we kept the house until after she passed away. And then we sold it in 2018. But it's just, I tell this story and I want to share this story because so many people, particularly African Americans, they have homes in their family, and they think that you can just, buy the house or move into a house that was mother's house or that was grandma's house, and now it's ours. No, it's not. It doesn't quite work that way. If there's a mortgage on the house, if there's liens on the house, you owe taxes. There's so many things that have to be taken care of, and this, homes and property is generational wealth, and so often we don't pass down generational wealth or have anything to pass down to our loved ones. But we just didn't want to walk away. We didn't want to walk away from our family home because my mother and father rolled quarters. They rolled quarters to come up with the down payment on this house, and just didn't want to. I would have felt, even though both of them had passed, felt like we would have been disappointing them to just walk away from a house that they worked so hard. My parents were not educated people. We definitely weren't Huxtables, but my parents were both, as I said, my parents were from Richmond, Virginia. And my father finished high school, but my mother did not. So my mother did what was called day's work. She would do day's work, and day's work would be where each day you would go sometimes to a different family to work. So she would work for white families in areas like Mount Lebanon or Squirrel Hill or somewhere like that. And they would pay her $8 a day, $8 a day, not an hour, $8 a day, and car fare, what they called car fare. So the car fare was the money you paid to get there on the bus or the streetcar. Mommy saw an ad in the paper, in the Courier, in the Pittsburgh Courier. She saw an ad about these houses that were going to be built by a Black builder that Black people could own their own home. Now, I kind of remember we moved into the house. The dates don't really add up, but I remember very well that we moved in the house on Halloween. We moved into the house on Halloween, and it seemed like we gave out candy that night. We gave out candy when we moved in. But it was such a great time. It was a great house, a very nice red brick house. And then the house, I guess my mother, because my mother was the driving force in a lot of things, felt that the house needed to be larger. And she and my father had an addition built on the house. And I even have the plans. I have the plans. I have the plot plan here, and it talks, and this is where you can see that city line that runs in front of the house. And so this plot plan was made for James and Essie Norrell, and this was in April of 1969. April 1969 is when the plans were made, and they had that addition built on the back of the house, and they wanted to have it ready for when I graduated from high school in 1970. So I came out of high school in 1970, and they wanted to have a party in the addition of the house. So we added on a 2-story addition. We had a brand new kitchen, a big new kitchen, a game room, a new bedroom, and with a walk-in closet and an attached bathroom. It was pretty exciting. It was very exciting to watch the building, go on and everything. So it was so important for us to maintain the house and to not let it go to taxes or to fall into disrepair. So we ultimately sold the house to a family. We wanted the house, we didn't want to rent. I rented it out for a while my mother was in the nursing home. But it was very important for us to sell the house to a young family. And so the house was sold to a young family.